business is actually already creating that you want to grow and multiply. So Stevens, perhaps we could start with you.
Okay, unmuted. Yeah. I lost my eyesight at the age of 45 due to glaucoma and diabetic retinopathy. Um, so thank God, coming out of the dark, I founded the Malaysian Glaucoma Society. And in those works that I was doing then, serving the glaucoma patients and family members, I came across a lot of children, babies, born with glaucoma. And at that point of time, as it is for me already, having lost my eyesight at the age of 45, it's already so challenging, so difficult. And when I look at those children and their family members, it was like, the song Que Sera, Sera comes in. It's like, what is going to be happening to them if changes in our country, the climate for the disabled people, blind people, if it doesn't change, then it's going to be even more difficult, especially when the world is rapidly moving so fast. And so that's when I started a non-profit organization to advocate for the accessibility rights of the visually impaired community, when I started to boot the idea of starting a guide dog school in Malaysia. And it was from there, having met a lot of international friends through the guide dog movement, I stumbled across Dialogue and Duck from Germany. And so that's where I saw that light there, because I feel Dialogue as then already a renowned established social enterprise could help us in a way train this disabled people, blind, and soon the other disabled people as well. And so, yeah, that's what keeps me going on, looking at the child. She's already now 10 years old. It's been 10 years really serving. So it looks like I've got another 10 more years to go before I can retire.
Yeah. Thank you, Stevens, for your story. We really appreciate it. So let me ask the same question to Marisa at Made Easy. Why are you in this, and what's the impact that Made Easy is already starting to have?
Hold on, can you guys keep quiet for a while? At first, we just wanted to do a business that is the normal profitable business. But then when I see the impact that Made Easy has given to especially the B40, right? For example, to women who were housewives before, and then they get work as a cleaner, which is a simple job, but they feel independent. They feel emancipated from the shackles of culture of just being someone's wife. So that's an example. And then when they feel independent, when they feel that they can do something with their own two hands, they have an ambition. So you can see that for Made Easy, it's not a career. To be a cleaner is not a career, but it's a way for them to make money, to start something. So a lot of them, after they join Made Easy, they start to become their own entrepreneurs, whether they doing a food stall or doing online business or going back to school. So Made Easy gives them that opportunity. And I think the biggest impact that I would really feel proud of is that we are focusing on local Malaysians to be cleaners instead of foreigners. Because, the cleaning industry is an exploitative industry. the cleaners, it goes all the way up, to the authorities itself, exploiting the foreign workers. I mean, for the cleaning companies, they pay a pittance to the cleaners, and then they have to work under dangerous conditions, and then the authorities, I mean, they accept bribes and all that, right? So we want to clean that up. So that's the impact that I want to give.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, Michelle and Bruno, over to you. What is the impact? Why are you doing this, and what's the impact? Michelle, you shared a little bit already, but what's the impact that you want to have?
It's really about why can't everyone have access to that music? And there's always a saying that comes to me, the wood will be very silent if only the best ones sing. So really, if music can lift the spirit and for everyone, then why is it that only like 5% of the population can play musical instruments and make that music? Why? Because it's too costly, we don't have the time, we never had the opportunity, and we didn't think that we have no talent. Usually they say, I'm not talented. And to be able to break that mindset, to be able to say no pity claps, I can do it too. And that's the beauty of technology. But also to find things that resonate so that you can express your own personality. Or for the people who have restricted ability to say, hold an instrument, or I can't read the notes if I'm autistic or I'm whatever condition that I have, to be able to give that control over some part of your life, I feel is what is actually needed. So when we are open and happy, we can overcome any obstacles. We have hope. So actually at the end of it, that's why we are called I'm Soul Inc. We're not like I'm Music Inc. I'm not
I love that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So Bruno may have his own motivation too. I just sometimes.
Bruno, do you want to chip in?
Yeah, I mean, I think Michelle has said it all, but in my view, at least, my interest is in mental health, and then I realized that you can achieve quite a lot with music without having to invest into very complex medtech solutions of all sorts and elaborate solutions. So it's quite magic what you can achieve with that media, and I'm trying my best to bring that kind of solution to the largest number of people. That's the plan for me.
Okay. So I'll just leave it with you guys there for a minute, and then I'm just going to go back and ask the same question to Stevens and to Marisa, and then open it up to the floor. And that is, what's the area of help that you need most? So we have, you can see, we have a number of folks in the room, experts in the room with different expertise. What's the help that you need most? So Michelle and Bruno?
Yeah, actually, we have actually tested our solution and all for like 7 years, but most of it is actually that face-to-face, most of it face-to-face. As we grow into the region and we're now in Hong Kong and China and all that, we found that we can't be traveling all the time. So the COVID actually gave us an opportunity to say, let's do more digitization and also use the insights that we've gathered for the last 7 years to go into like AI, and also that we can serve people better. Like if I can find you through machine learning that song that immediately resonates, I don't have to take so long, and a less experienced trainer would be able to get there. So I would like help in this piece because I've got Bruno in technology, but I want to make sure that the authentic human connection, which is our cornerstone, is always preserved. And it's so easy for people to digitize or go online and forget that human piece. So this is where I think getting into a group of social entrepreneurs and having that heart, like-minded, like-hearted people for us, and how to scale, how to scale and how to do it, yet maintain that human connection. It's not something that is common.
Yeah. So it's how, if I understand correctly, it's how to maintain this human connection in a situation where we're still largely virtual, and how to maintain that and still be able to scale your business.
With some plans, we've got some ideas. Yeah. We really would like the feedback and guidance on how to really make it work.
Okay.
And the idea also is to amplify the impact of the solution.
Yes,
Because
yes.
if you can, let's say, assess what's the best, let's say, music and the best protocol to have an impact on one person's life, then you can really amplify the impact of IMSOLink.
Yeah.
That's the idea as well.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Stevens, what help do you need the most?
Funding, human capital to scale and help us grow into a next phase of impact, which is we want to build a team park on the theme of empathy and resilience. That would be, I think, the first in ASEAN, where you have all the dialogue programs plus the showcase of all the entrepreneur programs that we have built over the years with partners for our beneficiaries. So dialogue is not just in the dark, but there is also silence, which is facilitated by the deaf and mute. We have the dialogue games by the crippled, and finally, which was in Singapore a while ago, which is dialogue with time. That's facilitated by the senior citizens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, so funding, but also then we're talking the skills behind that, business development, perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, business development.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And Marisa?
I think the biggest help that we can have most is some insights on how we can scale, and as well as funding as well. Because I mean, we work in a gig economy. Our cleaners are gig workers, so they work when they want. And our problem in Made Easy is not demand. I mean, demand is always there. People always want us to clean their homes, but it's getting people to work for us. And I think for all these years, these 5 years, the market has been playing it unfair because the gig workers are subsidized. You know, I mean, like a rider, a food rider can earn 3,000 ringgit, right? I mean, and these people are not really operating at a profit. They're all operating at a loss. So, so the problem is supply. We can't get enough supply to fulfill the demand.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you. Yes, Michelle.
Yeah, actually, we need funding too, that one. Because of the fact that we are going into digitization and all that, it's actually the need to be able to get those portals and stuff and measures out. That is quite important at this point.
So I'm just looking at the experts and potential, I'm not potential experts, but folks in the room that could be potential experts and counselors to our social enterprises. What questions do others have here? I don't want to monopolize the floor. Please unmute yourself, put your hand up, and feel free to ask Marisa, Stevens, Michelle, and Bruno anything that comes to mind.
Christine.
Hi, Michael.
Hi. Just want to check with Stephen. Yeah. Stephen,
Yeah.
I work for the Science Center at one time. And Dialogue in Time was an exhibition that at that time we were actually looking at to bring into the Science Center, to build it as an experience. Basically, as how you say, for those who are handicapped with their eyes, so that they can experience what it means, and also for the public, really. So I just want to find out what kind of resource do you have right now?
Well, we already have the Dialogue in the Dark exhibition here and the dialogue games.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just adding on to the other two, silence and also with time. Because our idea is when you have all of these groups together, I don't know what kind of sparks it will be able to ignite, but at the end of the day, when we want to just bring all of this left behind people together, we want to see people looking at their capabilities rather than the disabilities. So in terms of resource, we really got the two experience games that we have. Yeah, so it's just adding on these two others. We are currently located in downtown Bukit Bintang at the Well. Don't know whether you've been here, but yeah, it's right here. So this is what we are looking at, and we are hoping to go into pitching to raise the capital. Yeah. Hope I've answered your question, Michael.
No, just for some background.
Yeah.
Because I know how expensive it is to run an exhibition, and really is the sustainability of the cost in running. I mean, the capital cost might not be so prohibitive, but the long-term cost.
Yeah.
So I guess right now you are charging a fee for.
We are charging. Sorry, we are charging a fee for entrance. The one of the reasons why we've been able to sustain for the past 8 years was because of corporate workshops. So we have always been telling the public people we don't sustain by the tickets into our exhibition, because that's very little, but rather it's the corporate workshops that and corporate events that we have always been emphasizing on. And the fact that we are also I don't know what they call it in Singapore, but in Malaysia there is this human resource development fund that companies who subscribe to it can claim it back, and we are one of those accredited. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Stephen.
Great. Thanks, Michael.
Stephen.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, this is Matthew here. Yeah,
Hi, Matthew.
Is the business structure in Malaysia affiliated to the Singapore one or even the Hong Kong one? Are they affiliated?
We are all in the same family.
Okay.
We are all in the same family. So, but we share notes. We sometimes work together. If there's a regional workshop, then we will team up. Yeah.
Okay. So are there things that has been done in, let's say, Singapore or even in Hong Kong that you felt that Malaysia have not done?
I think basically, if the theme park we are doing, bringing all the dialogues into one place, that would be the first after Tokyo. Tokyo is supposed to open during the Olympics, but has been pushed to next year.
Okay, got it. Okay, thanks. It's rather interesting development. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Matthew. What other questions do we have? And any questions for I'm Soul and Made Easy? Okay, well, as you guys are pondering that, I guess I'm going to go back to Made Easy for just a second. If you're, Marisa, you've talked a little bit about, the area that you need the help most, but do you have a specific ask at this point? Do you have an immediate ask to the audience?
Not really.
Okay.
I joined SETH just for knowledge. My business has some drawbacks. So I just want to learn how I can scale despite this problem.
So what would you say is what's the strongest challenge that you have right now? What's the top of the list?
This is supply, getting people to work as cleaners. That's the biggest problem, because in the gig economy, you can't force them to work. They work when they want.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. And thank you so much. And so Michelle, if you have a specific ask, not funding, let's go beyond funding. And let's say that funding's a given. But if we look beyond that, that will help to generate that. What's your specific ask to this room full of folks we've got right now?
We need to be able to create, we want to be able to create jobs for people so that we could then send them out, especially to access to teach other people how to make music. I think our biggest, we have done very well, like in corporate social responsibility. We've got clients with like Comfort Delgro who have signed like multi-year projects with us, which means we have regular funding. But to be able to train the music ambassadors and then for them like to be able to go forward. We have trained a lot of therapists.
So Michelle, can I ask you, I mean, can you give us a little bit more information about your business model?
Okay, so we started with doing B2C, which is actually we would sell to hospitals, healthcare, schools, special needs schools, even primary schools, pre-primary, like we've just got an interest with a pre-primary. And so it's for education, for healthcare, for engagement. The reason is that because of the fast aging populations and all, the music therapists and all are very expensive and there are very few trained. So the government and hospitals and all are looking for new ways to engage and being able to increase productivity by training like the nursing aides, the occupational therapists. So we've got a good market there that we can grow, and we've grown to Hong Kong, like Tonghua Hospital, all these. Then the second thing, our business model would be B2B2C. So we would train the staff of the corporates, much like Stevens, and then for the corporate staff to go into the community. But because we insist on a different model, like not a one-off performance or whatever, but regular training. So they found it deep engagement. And now, because of the COVID, we found that we can actually go into homes. So we want to be able to bring this for the caregiver within a family. And then for them to make music. So a lot of them are left at home. Sometimes the family works and the people are left alone. So the mass market now is actually available to us once we go digital. Right. And that is really our core in terms of reaching the masses. So B2C is still going on, it's successful. We're going to B2B2C. So imagine if we have 4-year contracts, we have like sign up 10 of those, and that would actually be another line of income. And then now the third one is that we are able to go into the retail and the B2C market and right into the home of the family. So when I was actually doing it for a lady with dementia within the home, without ever having met her before, and instantly got her to come back, her family has now bought our solution. The grandson is now starting this movement in his youth community. So we are really, that's the model to really scale and replicate. And we found a way to like replicate. We are at the stage where we need to replicate to get to the masses.
Okay, thank you so much. Any follow-up questions there? If not, I would actually ask, Reese, I'd ask you the same question, a little bit more about your business model.
So for each cleaning session, we'll take a cut. So we get the demand and then match it with the supply. So we charge a certain amount to the customer, and then we take a cut, and then the rest is paid to the cleaner.
Okay, all right. Pretty good. And then Stevens, thank you, Marisa. Can you tell us a little bit more about your business model?
Well, we sell tickets to the public, tourists, to have an experience in our Dialogue in the Dark exhibition. We sell corporate team building, resilience building, and leadership communication workshops to corporates, to university, colleges, and of course during school holidays we do the school tours for schools. That's where we earn our revenue.
So even in the last 4 or 5 months, Stevens, obviously physical activity, I mean, COVID's kind of put a stop to that. How have you pivoted or adapted just to stay alive the last 3 or 4 months?
Well, in a way, it's sort of like push forward some of our academic programs. We were running a online call system. And we were already beginning to train the team. Currently, right now, we have 14 of them to do digital commerce on some of the disabled-friendly platforms. So currently, that's what the team is doing. We are working with other training providers to promote their training programs online. And people buy it, they will get a discount when the doors are open for the dialogue in the dark with the workshops with the corporates that we know.
So can you see some of these, and actually this is, I guess, think for all three of you, some of these adaptations that you've put in place over the last, let's say 6 months or 5 months, can you see that actually some of them have legs? I mean, some of them will be things that you want to continue to do in the months ahead, or do you feel like you just need to return to the way things were before the pandemic hit? How is this changing the way you work longer term, do you think?
I guess when you go back to the old norm, maybe people would think it's back to business, old way of doing business. But we would rather look at this as an opportunity to pivot our showcases.
Right.
And one of the things which we are so excited, because right now is really the resilience to wait until a vaccine is found and everything is back to normal. And this time while we are building this resilience, we feel that when the doors are open again, resilience will be achieved. Many corporates, education schools, in fact, we are already sending out feelers here and there. It opens up a door for us, and that's where we find that we could fast forward some of our plans. And who better to talk about resilience than this disabled groups, you know, the blind, the deaf, and even the senior citizens for that matter. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Marisa, any other thoughts on how you've adapted your business model during this time and what it might look like in the months going forward?
During the COVID, we got rid of our offices, so we are actually mostly working from home, and we've converted one of the apartments into our office that we come twice a week. So the great thing about Made Easy is that we train our cleaners. So part of the training is done online instead of them going to our office previously. So they will have 2 days training, one online training and one training at our life center, which is an apartment that they can clean. So we're most probably going to maintain this kind of arrangement in the future, and it has saved a lot of money as well. But I think from our experience, working in an office is needed because we need to feel together as a team. Otherwise, when we work separately at home, we're working in separate silos. But it's just twice a week, so it's still, our team is still intact. At the same time, we still have the freedom to work from home.
Okay. Marisa, what gives you hope moving ahead for the future? What gives you hope?
I think that, I mean, the good thing is Malaysians aren't hesitant to work in the 3D industry. It's just that all this while, you know, we've been exploiting foreign workers with lax rules on health and safety, and they work in dangerous conditions. I mean, people actually die in construction sites, and also in the cleaning industry. You know, they are paid a pittance, and then they stuff them in a apartment with so many people. And I mean, Malaysians just want a dignified, you know, life and a dignified work, and that is something that we want to give. So every time I see like my cleaners reaching their financial goal, like getting married or opening a business, it makes me happy a lot.
Got it. Thank you for that. That's really insightful, actually. Yes, Michelle.
I may not have shared this. I started because my dad had a stroke at 55. And I realized that although we were able to afford someone coming to the house, like a nurse, it was his emotional distress that prevented him from recovering. And during the COVID, this emotional distress of people being stuck at home is even more real. So the COVID has actually stopped our community business, but the good part is that our clients are saying, we really, really think what you're doing is special. They've said we've cut projects, but we are keeping yours. So the commitment is there for the next few years, so number one. Number two, many of the big clients have actually come back and say, give us quotes because our centers are being built. But we cannot get people to renovate because there are no workers. The minute it is built, give us the business. Quote, we'll get there. So the other thing is that because healthcare workers are so limited now and stretched, they are also all looking for ways to increase productivity. And what we do is to be able to help them engage and increase productivity. So that's why we've got a lot of upside for the traditional business. But on top of that, like this isolation thing and all, we're getting interest from people within families, within communities. So to us, we don't abandon what we've done that is successful, but we are enhancing, we are pivoting, we're adding new streams of income, and we can see the demand because of the global trends. And that's why we feel that we are not just proceeding as is. We've done well, we'll continue, but new markets, new revenues, new products and services.
Right.
We spend the time building a portal, which actually will be launched soon because we will be 7 years old on the 5th of September. We have spent time building our online programs. We have spoken to banks about getting installments so that people could pay. We've come up with a rental model, and we've come up with plans to like logistics and all, and certainly also to work with people like Stevens, because we serve not just the people with disabilities, but actually their families, the caregivers, to be able to lift the whole spirit up together. So this is where we are very hopeful that this next stage actually we're more needed. We can get there.
So it's interesting. So I'm gonna just jump across to Stevens for a moment, since Michelle just actually mentioned dialogue in the dark, and talked about new products and services that are emerging and being developed as a result of the challenge of the pandemic. Stevens, I mean, you talked a little bit about what you're doing that doesn't require people to come together in large gatherings. Can you talk a little bit more about the new products and services that you're building and considering and piloting?
Well, we are training our team to cook. So we are selling, for example, nasi lemak. One of our blind team members have a recipe of nasi lemak that was handed down from a grandmother. So we are now preparing the team. We are really beginning to sell this food and pastries and coffee over Grab and Foodpanda, basically food takeaways. So basically we are training the team to do that. Just keep promoting the products, the cafe, and that's what we are doing with the team right now, keeping them busy with food takeaways and e-commerce platforms. Yeah.
What are the biggest challenges are you finding with your team? How big is your team, Stevens?
Right now we have 11 of them here.
So what are the biggest challenges across the team as you're having to find new ways to stay in business and to meet the new needs of your communities?
I think in a way, to them, when COVID happened, it was social isolation again. So to them, it's like, huh, locked in. So it's just that I don't have to come to work now. So the new thing for them right now is just having to do their work facing a computer safely, remotely, their hip. So the challenges for them is, I think the biggest challenges for them, for my team right now, is they are itching, can't wait to get back to work where we were all locked down in our homes. They sort of like, it was not the new norm for them, it's the old norm. But the new norm for them is trying to get to work now digitally, remotely. So my challenge was actually asking them to sit down in front of the computer and do their work rather than wanting to come back and do the interaction that Dialogue in the Dark has been doing. That is my biggest challenge actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody want to respond to that? Any thoughts on that? I think this is a really interesting topic around just looking at the teams, and the impact on the teams and how the teams, what you're having to do as a leader, all of you, to move, the teams forward during this time. Marisa, how's your team?
Marisa.
Hi. When the hardest part about the COVID, you're talking about the COVID pandemic, right?
Yeah, just what you guys have been adapting the last like 4 or 5 months, and that's your team is really impacted, right? So
the hardest part is making the team feel confident that we are still going to be in business, because for about 2 to 3 months we all had been furloughed, so we didn't get paid for our salaries, and Made Easy actually shut down for 2 months because there were roadblocks all over KL Klang Valley. The police will not allow anyone to cross the towns, right? So Made Easy was not operational, and it did affect us emotionally. I think some of my team members felt like they felt maybe it's unfair that they're not getting paid, but we couldn't afford to pay our staff, because we weren't in business. So, I mean, the hardest part is really trying to convince what's left of the team to stay with us, and making sure that they know that we want to be a going concern, that we want to be operating after the RMCO. And we lost a few of our staff during the COVID. I think I wouldn't say they don't believe in us, but I think they just they couldn't handle it themselves, because you need to dig out from your savings to at least to cover yourself during those months. So that was the hardest part. I mean, we really had to show leadership during that time.
And so that's still with you then, though. I mean, if you're looking at growing your business moving forward, are you starting from a lower base of staff, and are you going to have to rehire? What's that look like for you?
We're going to rehire some staff, but I think there's a lot of changes that went on during the COVID pandemic, especially like with regards to government help. So the government does give some financial help and loan moratorium. They don't have to pay their house loan and car loan for I think 6 months. So I think Malaysians, I mean, at least the ones that I meet, they're still not so desperate for a job. So we have a very serious supply issue right now that I can't find enough people to work for us, and demand is a lot,
Okay, so that's a critical issue you have then is, finding enough staff. And once you hire somebody, what's the training period before you can actually deploy them?
For cleaners, it's 2 days. I mean, for the internal team, the operations team is basically on the job training, but the cleaners is 2 days. But I mean, the government has been good in giving the financial help. I mean, even to us, when we applied for the aid, we got that within like a month or something like that. So,
Okay.
I mean, we think that maybe these people are not back in the market because they have a lot of financial help from the government. Maybe, I don't know, you know. And also the delivery, the gig economy means the delivery, the cleaners, the dispatch, you know, and we are competing with the same pool of people. So that is the big challenge, and we did have to start from zero essentially when the MCO was lifted into RMCO, right? So yeah, it's been very hard. I mean, even right now, we're thinking, are we going to go through this? But I think we just have to go through it.
Okay. No, that's actually really helpful information for all of us. Michelle and Bruno, can I ask the same of you guys? What's happening with your team? How big is your team? And what are the implications as you then move forward out as we start to ease out of the pandemic situation?
So what we have on our team is that fortunately for me, I have actually adopted a very sort of small team, core team. I've outsourced most of my services. So even like accounting, finance, HR, social media and all that. So therefore, I was able to sort of negotiate and scale it down to sort of almost very bare basics when we had the community business just shut off. Again, like Marissa, we were also fortunate that there were a lot of grants available. So we've leveraged on those to start working on our portal, building the online, content.
Right.
For my musicians and my music technologists and all, again, fortunately, they all work from home.
Right.
Because they are freelancers and they're different ones for different types of music. So fortunately, I have built up a repertoire of the kind of content that we use over the years.
Okay.
So I was able quite quickly to sort of just turn it down. A lot of the other meetings and all are online, but we do really miss the interaction because and when the COVID ended, like Bruno and I went to catch coffee, and that's why like now we are in the same place because I think as long as there is this gap that is open that allows minimal small group interaction, we found a way where we think it would like allow the small group project to the large group. So in fact, the chairman of the Singapore Kindness Movement, William Wan, is actually, I just spoke to him yesterday, and he is actually like really endorsing us. He's going to write an article about what we do,
right,
and he's going to spread it. And we're launching a new program called The Sound of Kindness. So that way, in terms of the publicity, in terms of the awareness, in terms of what we do, will be heightened.
Right.
We were also very fortunate. Just before COVID hit us, DBS made a video. DBS Foundation made a video of our work, and that has been circulating. And also, of course, the Channel News Asia feature. So we were fortunate all this happened just before the COVID, and so we've got this arsenal where we can get onto the online and really spread that news. So we are actually very excited that the COVID was a crisis, but it also was a huge opportunity for us.
Well, and I think that's actually a really good point as we kind of wrap up. We're just down to our last minute, and I want to make sure if there's anybody else here that has any last final thoughts, but it's how do we look at, in the midst of all this hardship, oh my goodness, how do we look at this as an opportunity, for new ways of thinking and new products, new services, and new people to reach. So I look at you three as the leaders of your organizations, and the hope I mean, you guys are here and you're still alive and kicking, and you're wanting to grow and scale and to continue to spark meaningful impact in the lives of other people. I think that's amazing. That gives me hope, just seeing your faces and knowing of you. So as we just round up into our, we're going to get snagged here. Bernice is going to grab us any moment to go back into that main room. Are there any other comments or questions from the floor? You are such a quiet bunch this morning. This is so unfair. You're making me do all of the work. Ah. Time is too short. Yeah, HBW. Okay. Too short. Ah, got it. All right. Well, if that's the case, we'll just, Bernice will be here any moment. And I just want to say thank you to Michelle and to Marisa and to Stevens. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to share or say before we get taken back into the other room?
He's joining me at a stage where we've worked together on projects before, and he brings with him his healthcare and technology experience from many tech firms and social entrepreneurs. So we're very excited to team up for the next phase.
Bruno is a good guy. This I can attest to.
I know.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you guys had a very good time hearing and sharing and learning from one another. So we are coming to a closing segment. Just give me a second.